Well, my phone says 2:00 now, so I guess we can go ahead and start, and then if Adam joins us, that'd be great. So, is that good?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to go ahead and call to order the Public Incentives Review Committee meeting for today, Monday, April 12th. And our first course of action is to approve the November 10th, 2020.
Excuse me, Michelle. I think I probably should start out by reading the instructions.
Oh, that's right. You have those lovely long instructions.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, thanks, Madam Chair. I am going to provide a few procedural reminders for the virtual meeting. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel and Public Access Channel 25. During the meeting, when you are not participating, please mute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon found in the lower left-hand side of the Zoom menu next to the video icon. When you are muted, a red line will appear over the icon. Muting your microphone during the meeting will make it easier for everyone to hear. You just have to remember to unmute if and when you want to speak. In some cases, I may mute or unmute people as needed to minimize distractions during the meeting. Please remember to state your name every time you speak for the benefit of those listening remotely. You can turn your video camera on or off by clicking the video icon in the menu. For the purposes of this public meeting, when you are participating in the meeting, please keep your video on. When you are not participating in the meeting, please turn your video off. You will still be able to listen to the meeting when your video is off. You just have to remember to turn your video back on when you are participating. Turning your video off when you are not participating will help make sure that the active meeting participants can be seen on the screen. In some cases, I may turn someone's video off if they are not actively participating to avoid distraction during the meeting. You can always turn your video back on during the meeting. If you are participating by phone, you can click *6 to unmute your phone. For those using Zoom, somewhere on your screen you will see a choice to toggle between speaker and gallery view. Speaker view shows the active speaker. Gallery view tiles all the meeting participants. Board members and city staff members, you must state your name and title each time you speak. All motions will need to be stated clearly. After a motion is made and seconded, the chair will call on board members individually to provide their vote. Madam Chair, you will then need to announce whether the motion carried and the count of the vote. When public comment is sought on an item, individuals participating via Zoom should use the raise your hand feature. Windows and Mac users can access this feature through the participants button at the bottom of their screen. Android and iPhone users can access this feature through the More button located at the bottom right corner of their screen. For those calling in by phone, you may dial *9. Individuals will be called upon by name in the order they appear on the meeting host screen. When you are called on, please unmute your listening device and state your name before speaking. The chair will then call for in-person public comment for those without access to technology options. Staff present will direct you to the podium to speak, following social distancing and safety protocols. The regular 3-minute time limit will apply. Thank you. Okay, now all yours, Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Britt. All right. So first course of action is to approve the November 10th to 2020 meeting minutes. So hopefully everyone on the board has been able to review those, and I'll take a motion to accept those or if there are any changes. Any changes? Any motion?
Michelle, I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
Okay, John has a motion to approve those minutes, and is there a second?
This is Christina Gentry. I will second that motion.
All right, thanks, Christina. All right, so we have a motion by John Matthew and a second by Christina Gentry to approve the minutes from November 10th. I'll do a roll call vote. Christina?
Aye.
Brad Burnside?
Aye.
John Matthews?
Aye.
Kate Lawrence?
Aye.
Shannon Kimball, not sure if she's on. Patrick Kelly? Adam Ritchie? Michelle Fails is an aye. So with 5 in favor, 0 against, the motion passes. All right, so our next agenda item is to do introductions. We do have 3 new committee members, and so we're going to take a moment to introduce all of ourselves to each other. These 3 new committee members have attended orientation that Britt was able to put on, so that's great. So we'll just go around and I'll call on each of you, and you can just take a moment to introduce yourself. Christina?
Yes, good afternoon, board members. Good afternoon, new members to the PIRC. Glad to have you. My name is Christina Gentry. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I currently work at the Lawrence Douglas County Public Health as a community health liaison. However, my position here at this board or this committee is as a community member at large. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Brad Burnside?
Good afternoon. This is Brad Burnside. I'm the community bank president for U.S. Bank in Lawrence. And I don't recall how long I've been on this committee. It's been a while. And but I look forward to working with the 3 new members. So thank you.
All right, Kate?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Lorenz. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Director of Events and Audience Services at the Lead Center. So I've definitely, I know, interacted with some of the board members in that capacity. I'm excited to be serving on this committee, and my position, my name was put forward by the Sustainability Advisory Board. Yeah, excited to see how I can help in that capacity as well.
All right. John?
Hi, my name is John Matthews. I've lived in Lawrence for about 20 years. I currently work at the University of Kansas. I work with scientists that get government grants there, and I'm excited to be on this committee.
All right. I don't believe Shannon, Patrick, or Adam have joined us yet. I am Michelle Fails. I'm currently serving as the chair for at least another minute. And I work at RCB Bank as a mortgage originator here in town, and been on the committee for, I think, 3 years. So I have really, truly enjoyed it. So, all right. Thank you. All right. Our next course of action is we do need to elect a chair and a vice chair for the coming year. And our previous vice chair is no longer on the committee, and then my year is up. So we will take some motions for new chair and vice chair. Any motions? Somebody's got their hand raised. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Michelle Fails for chair.
All right. Any other motions for chair?
I will second. This is Christina Gentry. I will second that nomination for Michelle as chair.
All right. So we do have a motion by John to reappoint me as chair for the coming year, and Christina has seconded that. So we'll go through roll call and take a vote for that. Christina?
Yes, aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'll go ahead and say aye. So with a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, that motion carries. All right, and we need to take a motion for a new vice chair.
Christina Gentry. I will nominate John Matthews as vice chair.
All right. And any second on that?
Kate Lorenz, I'll second that.
All right, we do have a motion by Christina to appoint John Lawrence, I'm sorry, to John Matthews, sorry, as vice chair, and Kate has seconded. So we'll go roll call. Christina?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Michelle is a yes. So with a vote of 5-4, 0 against, John Matthews is our vice chair. So thank you. And I am assuming, John, you are A-okay with that.
If I did, I probably shouldn't have said aye on that one. Yeah.
All right, great.
Too late now.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, I guess I will continue with the agenda. So our next agenda item is to review the 2022 funding request from our economic development agencies. And so we will review these and then provide a recommendation for the City Commission and the Board of County Commissions. So I'm going to hand it over to Britt.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I just wanted to give just a few opening contextual remarks. The city, if you are not yet aware, the city's been working on a city strategic plan, and then we're also working on an economic development strategic plan. With COVID and all the things that it's brought, and a very progressive city manager, we're really changing the way that we are viewing things and trying to view our work and proceed with our work. And that includes economic development. It's a very exciting time for this, but it's also quite a challenge because it's very different for all of us. It's a different process, different procedures, that sort of thing. What our city manager is looking for is proposals that will, move the needle when it comes to economic development, but also proposals that leverage city dollars with other partnerships, because one of the key things about our economic development strategic plan is collaborative partnerships. And to be quite honest, none of these programs really can be funded, I think, by one entity. It really needs to be more of a partnership of several organizations, be it private or public or a combination of both. So this year, we asked the economic development agencies, we have 3 of them, 3 main ones in the past. We asked them to submit proposals to us. We will do an agreement with them later on in the year, but we asked them to submit a proposal for services that they would provide and to tie it to the strategic plans, because that's what our funding priorities will be. So I just wanted to kind of give you that and let you know. I know we've got quite a few new people on here, so you're not used to the old way, but for those who are used to the old way, this is a new and different and more progressive way, I think, of handling all this. So with that, we can open it up to presentations, and I think what we'll do is start with the chamber, and Steve Kelly is here. Steve, are you doing the presentation for the chamber and the EDC?
Ryan and I will do it in combination. We'll each do specific sections of it.
Okay, and what I've asked each of the presenters to do is to present for maybe 5 to 7 minutes and then give us another 5 to 7 minutes to ask questions of them afterwards. So that'll help you focus in on whatever questions or additional information you need. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Steve.
Yes, thank you very much, Brett. And again, Ryan and I will both be providing portions of the presentation, but I'll lead off. Ryan, if you can share the screen. for the first slide. We have a set of slides. We have 7 slides that we're going to go over in pretty quick order to give some context. And just as a bit of background, I'm Steve Kelly. I'm the Vice President for Economic Development for Lawrence Chamber. And I'm going to speak kind of on some general topics, and then Ryan is going to speak on some specific asks, and then I will kind of conclude with kind of a recap of some of the things we've been working on as part of our normal course of work. And the members of the committee have seen our proposal. We're actually looking at basically 2 different pieces. One piece is a continuation of what I'll consider the base level funding we've been getting, and in the proposal we reiterated what that is for. But we're going to speak a little bit more in depth on some of the additional asks or the enhancements that we're asking for. And those would all, I think, be considered primarily in the area of entrepreneurial support, as you can see on this slide. And we're asking for $240,000 for funding to support a minority and woman business revolving loan fund. We're asking for $20,000 to support enhancements to some of the baseline information and kind of processing mapping to support our entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're also asking for some funding for an entrepreneurial pitch competition, which would not only provide some level of funding for the entrepreneurs, but also I think would bring significant attention and awareness of the entrepreneurial community and some of the assets and resources here to support it. And then we're also asking for an enhancement of the city's funding for the Small Business Development Center. And this is provided as a pass-through. As part of our budget every year, we ask for funding for the SBDC from both the city and the county. And that's basically functions as a pass-through. And it's been stable for a number of years, and we think it's probably important and appropriate to enhance that. And then I will add very quickly before I turn it over to Ryan, that each of these asks is not independent and a singular ask of the city. We're also proposing that from our fundraising campaign, which just got underway recently, that we would provide some additional support for these, most of these activities. Plus, there are several of them that we're also going to ask for some county enhancement. So this is not a singular approach to just the city. This is something that we're doing in concert with some other funds and fundraisers that we're proposing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Thanks, Steve. Just some stats about our current business community. Total businesses in Lawrence, and this is from Mergent Intellect, information from them. Total businesses, 11,239. Minority-owned businesses in Lawrence, there's 51, so they make up 0.45% of our businesses. And woman-owned businesses come out to 311, so 2.8% of our overall businesses. As a percentage of the community, minorities make up 17%, 15,705, and women make up 43,641, so 49.79%. So one of the things that we're interested in with the minority-owned business and women-owned business revolving loan fund is to help support minorities and women to start more businesses in our community. And as Steve mentioned, with the KU Small Business Development Center, you'll notice from 2019 to 2020, there was a significant jump in the amount of businesses that they served. 360 to 480, $13 million in capital infusion to 16 million in 2020. And then they helped 62 business starts in 2019 and 37 in 2020. Notice Will's quote, please. In most years, our breakdown between prospective new entrepreneurs and existing businesses is really close to 50-50. But in 2020, the increase in client load was directly tied to existing businesses. He said they had a fair number of reactivations or clients that they might have met with 10 years ago but that have been in business for some time, but during the pandemic, obviously needed assistance. And so they spent a lot of time and energy working with them, and their load has increased significantly because of that. And obviously there's going to be expected trials for those businesses in the coming years. It's not going to go away as soon as things open back up from the pandemic. When we think about entrepreneurship, the Chamber has really focused in several specific areas. We have a Metro e-community. It's called Lawrence Metro e-community gap funding program that's through Network Kansas. And so far, we've leveraged that this year to provide resources for 3 businesses. Again, that's a matching loan. And so that initial capital needs to be in place in order to be able to access the matching loan, because it's a gap for the loan. So again, this is where that revolving loan fund would come in handy for minority and women-owned businesses especially. And we've also supported Launch Lawrence, which is a nonprofit that has created some spaces on Zoom. They've created some events on Zoom for students and community members to come and make pitches, get feedback on how to make presentation as they look for funding and putting business ideas together. They've also mentored quite a few folks. And so one success out of that has been Ariadne Solutions, who we connected with through this space. When we created this event, we were able to connect with them. And recently, they're located downtown. They've got an intern from KU. They're interested in being very involved in our community. It's a KU alum. And we recently helped them access over $200,000 worth of capital. Youth Entrepreneurial Challenge. So this is an event through Network Kansas that helps youth think about entrepreneurship. We've been working to expand that. So we recently had a meeting with the Boys and Girls Club to create another entry point as we try to encourage students across our community that are interested in entrepreneurship to take the next step. And then we've been very actively involved in the Douglas County Entrepreneurial Support Network. That is a supporting network to help connect businesses with resources, would-be entrepreneurs with resources to help them find their next step. And then finally, we have partnered and supported with the B2PC as they've gone into phase 3, supporting around $100,000 in funding to help them as they expand into this phase 3 of the next step. Thanks, Steve.
And just a quick rundown of some of the other projects that we've worked on, and this would be probably in most cases considered to be part of our kind of baseline funding. We've worked with 3, and this is 3 projects of particular note in the past year or so. U.S. Engineering, which is doing site work on Lawrence Venture Park. It's going to be 80 jobs initially, going to 140, major investment there at the facility. Pretzels Inc. The walls are up on the building. It's under construction and moving very quickly. $88 million investment, 280 jobs. And Modern Manufacturing, which is a company that's locating in the Eudora, and they are actually hiring now. So that has moved fairly quickly, but 78 jobs in that facility. Next slide, Ryan. And then on the retention and expansion, and not going to go through the entire list, but we've worked with Plasticon on a couple of expansions in the last year. Standard Beverage broke ground recently on a major expansion of their facility. We worked with both Douglas County and with the state in supporting small businesses and organizations here to get funding from that process or those processes. We've been very involved with the ED strategic plan. We did a couple of surveys of businesses throughout the county to determine their situation and the impacts of COVID and what they were needing in terms of additional business support, and those were very helpful. And also have worked with some other smaller projects like Ziegler Glass, Adriana Solutions, and Central Grazing to help them either obtain funding or to support them in approaches to get support from other entities. And then the last slide. And then we've also have some involvement with workforce from the economic development standpoint. We've been supportive of the Rise Douglas County Fund and actually have put some money in support of it, which will help with unemployed and underemployed individuals and getting training and certification. And then we also been very active in the anti-poverty jobs group and see a continued role for the chamber and for our efforts in supporting some of those things that will help provide a broader base and stronger economic opportunities for folks throughout the county. With that, I'm going to conclude and then we'll stand for questions.
All right, committee members, feel free to ask questions of Steve or Ryan.
I'll go ahead and start. Good afternoon. Thank you for your presentation, Chamber. I am excited to hear about the anti-poverty job group and work group being implemented and being seen as a priority of groups that you have been working with and want to continue to work with. I recognize the work and the labor of that group has been, even pre-COVID dating and throughout COVID, they have been meeting to speak on issues and topics that relate to job opportunities and economic development and just addressing anti-poverty on a base level for Lawrence. If you would please speak a little bit to me or to the group about your the entrepreneurial support that you provide for the minority and women-owned businesses in Lawrence. I know you spoke a bit about the Lawrence Metro E-Community Gap Funds, and you did a very good job telling us about some of the things, the other things that you support as they relate to entrepreneurship. But I'd like to know about that $240,000 and kind of understand where those direct funds will go and what you support and what objectives in the anti-poverty objective plan, as you will, that really speak to you and speak to the work that you can do with helping to support minority and women-owned businesses in Lawrence.
Sure. Steve, do you want me to?
You go ahead and lead out, Ryan, and then if there's some time left, I'll follow up.
Sure. There's a recent, well, not too recent, it's been several years old now, but a Brookings Institute study, that came out that pointed that women and minorities-owned businesses at a much lower rate, and then listed 3 reasons for that they primarily found through their study. One was opportunity to access capital. Another was opportunity to network and the resources that become available because of those networking opportunities. And then also opportunity for training and advancing to be able to expand and grow their business, which is super important for us, obviously. And what we recognize is even with the Network Kansas E-Community program, as I mentioned, it's a gap fund, which means that if your business needs $60,000 to get started or to grow and expand, and you were only able to access $40,000, then you could apply for that $20,000 from the e-community, which is nice. It's been very helpful. It's supported a lot of folks in our community. Having said that, that initial $40,000 typically comes from traditional sources. And what we recognized is sometimes folks are not able to apply for those for various reasons. And so this revolving loan fund would come in to provide an answer to that and a solution towards that end.
Yeah, and just to follow on very quickly, Christina, I think, one of the things from the anti-poverty work that we've been involved with and also just our base feelings in general, we think it's very important to provide support for minority and underserved communities. That has been an untapped opportunity for this community. And, the idea behind the revolving loan fund is one, to provide that base level of support, but also to put something into place that will continue to develop funds through the repayment to allow other entrepreneurs to benefit down the road so that it's not a one-time opportunity. And then when the money's gone, we don't have any capability to go forward. And the idea would be that this might be part of a 2 or 3 year ask ultimately that would allow a certain amount of funds from the city, the county, and also from the chamber to be combined. That would give us a good base. It would allow us to support entrepreneurs in the community on an ongoing basis for an extended period of time.
All right. Any other questions?
Hi, Hi, I have a question. I'm Kate Lorenz. So I'm also very intrigued about this, about the minority and women-led business revolving loan fund. And I was wondering, one thing that I know in the recommendations from Ernst & Young, they talked about being a community that was underserved, but also a huge asset, very special to Lawrence, is our Native American community. So I was wondering if you all could speak a little bit about what relationships you have in that respect and any kind of focus you'll have in that direction.
Well, I'll try to tackle that one real quickly, and then Ryan can chime in. I agree. The Native American community is kind of a unique asset in Lawrence that has been underutilized and undertapped, and quite honestly, for a variety of reasons, has not really participated in a lot of the resources that are currently available. So I think it is important, and certainly they would be able to be part of this minority and women-owned business asset. But we're also looking at other approaches to Haskell and through the Haskell network to try to tap into a number of those folks to get greater involvement, because it's kind of a two-way street. We need to reach out, but we also need to be able to encourage them to participate. And to some extent, that's been one of the challenges historically, is that we haven't done a good job, I don't think, from either side to really do what we could to really capitalize in a positive way on the asset that is the Haskell and the Native American community in Lawrence and Douglas County.
This is Bonnie Lowe. I'll jump in real quick. I'm the president and CEO of the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce, and we have a DEI committee that we've been working with for the last 10 months or so. And Dan Wildcat is a very valued member of that organization. And so instead of reaching out and suggesting what Native American people may need, we're asking them as well, so we can fulfill those needs. Great question, Kate. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from our committee members?
I had one, Michelle. This is John Matthews, PERC member. I just wanted to confirm that the current amount of funding is $220,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I did have second question. As far as on the loan decisions, from what I read on Ernst & Young, they mentioned a cap at $50,000, and I read that the city of Lawrence would not be having a cap. My question is in regards to what would be, who and what at the Chamber of Commerce would be making these loan criteria decisions, as far as on what
I'll take a quick crack at that. We currently and Ryan had mentioned the e-loan community, or e-loan process. We have a loan committee that's in place now. And the thought was to use that group at least as kind of a baseline to get started. And there will need to be some decisions made on what the requirements are, maybe what the cap is. Is it 40,000? Is it 50,000? What would be best for this particular model that we're working from? So those things will be developed, but we do have in place a loan review committee that has experience reviewing loans with the e-loan program. And so it would be our thought, at least initially, to kind of tap into that and their expertise to kind of formulate what the plan would be in terms of the actual implementation.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? And I do want to note that our committee member, Adam Ritchie, has joined the group. Any other questions for the chamber? All right. I have one question, but it's for Britt. When we take our vote on this, do we take it as 3 separate votes or just one for the entire amount?
I think it could be 3 separate if you feel like you want to separate it out. The other groups also have they've kind of separated out theirs as well, so that might be the best way to handle it.
Okay. All right. Before we take a motion, are there any other questions for the chamber? All right. I want to entertain a motion for the base funding request of $220,000 from the chamber and the EDC. Any motion?
Kate Lorenz, I will make a motion to vote on that.
Okay, any second to the base funding of 220?
Michelle, this is John Matthews. I'd like to make a second that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Kate to recommend the base funding from the chamber for 220,000 and a second by John. So we'll do a roll call vote. I do want to note that Brad Burnside will be recusing himself in this vote. All right, Christina?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
And I am a aye also. So we have 5 ayes, 1 recusal, and no nays. So that does pass. All right.
Michelle?
Yes.
Michelle, this is Commissioner Kelly.
Oh,
I'm sorry I joined late. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's great. Patrick, do you want to vote also?
Aye.
All right. So we do have 6 ayes, one recusal, and 0 no's. All right. And that passes. Do we want to entertain a motion for the chamber's request for revolving loan fund budget of 240,000? Any motion?
So this is Christina Gentry. Can I get a clarification, please? The 240,000 is for the revolving loan fund, or is that, I have this written down in my notes as the minority and women's business funding. So can I get a clarifier of the 240,000 and what we're voting on?
I was just reading it off our spreadsheet, so I apologize. But yes, it would be the 200,000 for the Minority and Women Business Fund, and then 40,000 for administrative support, for a total of 240,000 under a revolving loan fund budget.
Okay, thank you for that clarifier.
Yep. So if anybody would like to make a motion on that, that'd be great.
Hi, Michelle. Adam Ritchie here. I will make a motion.
All right, and a second.
Christina Gentry, I will second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion by Adam Ritchie to recommend the funding for the revolving loan fund budget for minority and women business with some administrative support, the amount of 240,000, with a second by Christina Gentry. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Christina?
Aye.
Brad? Oh, sorry, Brad will recuse himself. Kate?
Aye.
John?
Nay.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So we have, let's see, 5 in favor, 1 nay, and 1 recusal. The motion carries. All right. The next requested item here is additional entrepreneurial support in the amount of 52,000 for the development of entrepreneurial assets and guidance and support. Any recommendation on that?
Michelle, this is John Matthews, Perks member. I'd like to make a motion on the 52,000.
Okay. All right. And do we have a second?
Kate Lorenz, I will second that.
All right, so John Matthews has made a motion to approve the requested $52,000 by the chamber for additional entrepreneurial support. That motion has been seconded by Kate Lawrence, and we will do a roll call vote. Christina?
Aye.
Brad is a recusal. Kate?
Aye.
John?
Nay.
Adam?
Aye.
And Patrick?
Aye.
All right, and John, I did want to clarify that your motion was to approve that, correct?
I thought it was as far as I'm voting.
Okay, I just want to
Bring it
make
up to
sure.
a vote. I thought,
Okay,
well, what is the process if no one brings it up for a motion for clarification on any item? If a
You
first
can
or
make a
second is not.
recommendation. You can make a motion to approve or deny as a motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
just want to make sure I had noted that correctly. So we have 5 approvals, 1 no, and 1 recusal. And the motion to approve the additional entrepreneurial support for the chamber of $52,000 has passed. All right, so thank you, Steve, Bonnie, and Ryan. And our next request is childcare enhancements. And I'm not sure who's presenting on behalf of, it looked like ERC Resource and Positive Bright Start.
And Michelle, Hugh Carter here. I'm going to just share my screen and I'm just pulling up the presentation. We'll have Riva Waiwatas with Child Care Aware and Anna Jenny with Positive Bright Start that will be making the comments.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugh.
Bet. Everybody see that okay?
Not yet.
Okay.
Michelle, I just had a question before we get started, if I could.
Yeah.
As far as on, when would you like to know if we were to recuse ourselves as far as on this? I may have a potential conflict of interest.
You can either tell us verbally or Brad sent me a message in chat. So either way.
Okay.
So do you think you should recuse yourself?
Yes, I currently would. Should I make an explanation for that, or?
Not necessary.
Okay.
If you feel like there's a conflict, it's whatever you feel.
Okay.
So I understand.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Well, this is Riva Waiwatas. I am the Executive Director of Child Care Aware of Eastern Kansas, and I am going to start the presentation and talk about the first few slides, and then I will be turning it over to Anna Jenny from Positive Bright Start. So just as a little brief background, Child Care Aware of Eastern Kansas is the licensed child care resource and referral agency that serves Douglas County. We work with regulated child care programs as well as community partners to address the accessibility of child care in Kansas communities and work to improve the quality of care available for families. And then we also operate the state's Parent Resource Center, so we help parents find childcare in their local community. Go ahead and advance the slide, Hugh, if you would. This presentation aligns with the city's Master Economic Development Strategic Plan under 37B. We are going to talk with you today about ways that we can expand childcare capacity, as well as make it more affordable for families in the community. This was a collaborative effort. It involved not only Positive Bright Start and Child Care Aware, but the Lawrence Chamber, the City of Lawrence, Douglas County Success by 6, the United Way of Douglas County, and other partners. We're all involved in these planning conversations, kind of bringing this idea to fruition and for this presentation today. We wanted to adapt a 2-generation workforce strategy. We want to give families a way out of poverty, and we know that they need access to childcare and that childcare needs to be affordable. Infant and toddler care in particular is in very short supply in the community, and any family with young children will attest to that. So that's really where we focused our efforts. And then we also wanted to acknowledge that what happens in the early years of a child's life really helps build their skills, not only for their generation, but then later as they enter the workforce. So when you think about the things that are happening in high quality early learning programs, children are learning about negotiation and communication and problem solving, and they're going to use those skills not only when they enter school, but throughout life, and then when they actually enter the workforce. So we addressed capacity kind of with two different strategies. And the first one was to explore childcare availability through facility investments. And so you'll see on this slide and in the proposal that one idea that the group wanted to present was the idea of investing in retrofitting an existing building. This slide specifically references the possibility of Kennedy School, as there's been conversations about the possibility of turning that into an early learning hub, but it could certainly be a different location. So we're not necessarily saying this is the location, but this would be a potential location, and there may be others in the community. It would take dollars to take any existing building and retrofit it for infant toddler care. And particularly where infant care is involved, you have to think about things like sprinkler systems, and anytime young children are in a building, there has to be exits to the outside, and there needs to be easy access to bathrooms and hand washing sinks. And so there is a price to that. And yet by investing in a facility, then that local operator that would come along and actually operate the facility and provide care could then potentially do that at a lower cost to help families more easily access that care. Another possibility would be to invest in a new build. And so what's shown on the screen and in your packet is the estimated price tag for a new build based on square footage that could potentially add an additional 100 childcare slots in the community. So this is just one strategy for really addressing the shortage of childcare in our community, knowing that without childcare, families cannot enter the workforce or stay in the workforce. Childcare is just such an integral part of the economic well-being of the city of Lawrence and of Douglas County. So Child Care Aware of Eastern Kansas's role would be to support, if the proposal goes forward and an investment in a facility would actually take place, we would work as one of many community partners to help move that process along, get that program through licensing, and choose a local vendor. But the other strategy that we are proposing is to add an additional infant and toddler slots by recruiting and helping 10 new family childcare businesses get established in Lawrence. We anticipate that those 10 new programs would add another 20 to 25 infant and toddler slots in the community. And we would assess quality by using a class assessment and then provide stipends and incentives to those programs as they're getting through licensing. That could be everything from smoke detectors and fire extinguishers and baby gates and cribs and all of that equipment that they would need to get started, as well as licensing fees and professional development. We are requesting a total of $200,200 for that aspect of the program. And it was noted in the packet that approximately 105,000 of that would be pass-through money that would go back out into these businesses in the community in the way of stipends and grants. And then $18,000 of that was for professional development and marketing strategies that would also not only impact these 10 programs and whatever other facility might be supported, but also the existing programs in the community, because we want to retain the high quality childcare slots that are out there, as well as build capacity. We did note as well that we do have some cash and in-kind support already identified to help support this work, and are certainly continuing to look for other avenues of funding that would blend and braid existing funding and existing strategies going on at the regional and state level with this local effort. I'm going to turn it over now to Anna Janney to talk about the affordability piece.
Good afternoon. I'm Anna Janney from Positive Bright Start. As you probably are very aware, childcare is very expensive, and the burden falls very heavily on low-income families. We have been administering childcare scholarship programs for over 40 years. Our most recent scholarship program that we put together last summer with some CARES funding was for families, essential workers that were affected by the COVID pandemic. We, over the period from August through December of 2020, with CARES money, we were able to fund scholarships for 101 children at a cost of $232,000. Let me say that again, $232,666. So that was for 5 months. Obviously, the cost of scholarships and the ongoing cost to parents is phenomenal. So our child care tuition scholarship program would provide sliding scale scholarships up to 240% of the federal poverty level, but we would emphasize scholarships for those at the lowest FPL. We would fund 18 scholarships for infants and 36 scholarships for toddlers. The average cost of a scholarship for infants would be $1,000. For toddlers, it would be $750. And then we would look to increase the quality of care at our approved scholarship sites by continuing to conduct peer leadership meetings and doing class assessments. The peer leadership meetings is for directors of our scholarship centers. They do studies in instructional leadership. Most recently, they delved into the topic of trauma-informed care. They've had training in doing assessments and utilizing the data from the assessment for classroom instruction. And we are currently arranging an anti-bias training. The budget for this would be, we're asking the city to provide $540,000 for scholarships. That would be the infant and toddler scholarships, and an additional $43,200 for administrative support. And that would cover the wages and benefits for an employee who processes the applications, who does communications with parents and centers, the record keeping involved, and then the payments to providers. Then, in addition, Positive Bright Start would put up $100,000 in preschool scholarships. Those would come from, funding for those would come from the United Way of Douglas County, Early Childhood Block Grant, private foundations, and donations. then we would match another $64,325 in administrative support. That's the wages and benefits of the quality improvement coordinator to facilitate the peer mentoring classes. We would perform class observations, pay for facility and supply cost. Can we answer any questions for you?
All right, committee members, if you have any questions for Anna or Reva, please ask.
I have a question. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Kate Lorenz. My question, I definitely am one of those parents who has looked for childcare for a young child. So I appreciate your presentation and I understand that frustration that parents have. My question is about the scholarships for infants and toddlers. What is the duration of those scholarships, and how are they renewed? That's my question.
We accept scholarships once a year, assuming it's a one-year funding project. And so once they are approved, they'll have a one-year scholarship.
Thank you.
So my question is, on that last slide, it showed a request for $540,000 plus the $43,000 in admin support. Mm-hmm. And that's for the city to cover 18 infant scholarships for a year?
18 infant scholarships and 36 toddler scholarships.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that detail because the math was not
Maybe
working
I didn't say it, but
no,
quite an omission.
Yeah. Okay. That covers my question.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
It's Christina Gentry. I do have a couple of questions. Talk a little bit, please, if you could, about the anti-bias training that you have as far as classroom instruction. This is a two-part question. So maybe expand a little bit about what that anti-bias training looks like. And then also, how are you recruiting, or what does the retention look like for BIPOC community members to be teachers, to kind of implement instruction into the classroom so that there's a representation of other community partners and leaders and students and alike to be part of this education process as it grows?
Okay, so that was a long question. Can you refresh my mind on what the first part of it was?
Absolutely. And this is Christina Gentry. It's a two-parter. So either one of you could take the question one or take the question two in any format you choose. But my question was about the anti-bias training. Expand a little bit about what that training looks like and what kind of training, maybe give a name to that training. And the other part of the question was the recruitment and the retention for your classroom instructors, and how are you recruiting for BIPOC teachers so that they can implement some of the training and the curriculum that we want to see in this environment, in this school. So if that question has been clarified for you, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I will start to address your first question, though I'm going to have to get some help from Reva on it, and then I think she can probably handle better the second question. But as far as our anti-bias training, we're just now in conversations about what that would look like and where we would go to get materials. We have a group of 9 or 10 scholarship directors in our peer mentoring group, and that is what they're clamoring for now. So we are going to do our best to satisfy their needs. The first place we've gone to look is Child Care Aware. They do have some pretty inclusive anti-bias training. And so we'll be talking with them beginning tomorrow about what that would look like and what that would cost us as a scholarship program. So Reva, can you give a little more information about that and then address the second question?
Sure, I will try. So the anti-bias professional development that we already have developed and approved by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment is being offered by our agency already in other communities. It is 4 2-hour segments. It's based on standards developed by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and it's been really, really well received. We are already offering that to a very small population in Douglas County through the Preschool Development Grant. And so we'll be expanding that offering in the community and hoping to partner with Positive Bright Start to make that more readily and widely available. As far as engaging the BIPOC population, we will be submitting a proposal to United Way to integrate that work and hopefully then weave it together with funding through the city as well. But we have already done some preliminary work identifying our BIPOC childcare facility owners and management team, as well as staff, to try to kind of get a handle on where they are, what percentage of our population falls into that category, and what their unique needs might be. So that work is already kind of underway, and certainly want to address that as part of this overall strategy.
Thank you. And just one more clarifier. You gave information about this being a 4 2-hour segment training. I did not hear the name of that training or the title of that training. Could you repeat that, or could you say that, please?
There are different topics, and I don't know if all 4 of the classes in the series has a different title. It's just anti-bias training. And then, like I said, it's been approved by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. It covers relationships and rituals, language and literacy, display and design are all covered as part of the coursework.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Right, any other questions from the committee members? All right, if not, I do have a few questions. So if I'm looking at the request correctly, the initial request is more for the recruitment of additional classrooms and so forth. And then I get to the 200,000, which would be for the renovation of Kennedy. So my first question would be, what if that building is not available to you? I know, if I recall, the district votes on that tonight, possibly. So the other proposal I see in the file is the 3.25 building, $1 million building. If the Kennedy option is not available, does that funding just not get used and then there'd be a new request? I just want to make sure I understand the steps there.
If I could chime in here, Reva.
That'd be great.
So
Thank you.
You bet. So the ideal is that a couple 100,000 would be needed to retrofit probably about any existing building we might partner on. Kennedy came up because and you're right, this opportunity to ask came up just a little early for us, but Kennedy's to be considered an example here. We're really looking for 200,000 to retrofit an existing building, because about any building we take, we're going to have to make these accommodations. Right. And so whether we partner in some space or we get something like this with Kennedy through the school district, that'd be great. And then really the second piece on that $3 million new build is, I should clarify that that's really not an ask of the group, more is out there to say, for instance, for looking at East Hills or whatever, I got with someone who builds these facilities. They're fairly expensive to meet all the licensing criteria. So that's just based on a 10,000 square foot facility to serve 100 infants and toddlers. that would be the cost. So just wanted people to be thinking about the cost of new versus potentially some retrofitting, and also, even at $3,250,000, it's just good to know that's the cost. And then potentially down the road, we could look at incentives to reduce that cost, to maybe incentivize someone to come in and do a public-private partnership of sorts with a new build.
Okay, that makes sense. And then on proposal number 1, where you would recruit 10 new providers to participate in the scholarship program, who will be doing that recruitment and selection, I guess, under the program?
So that piece of the proposal would fall under Child Care Aware. So what we are suggesting is that we would dedicate at least one full-time person to do this work. And so that's why this was a comprehensive proposal. So the marketing campaign, if you will, would be to get the need out there into the community. We would specifically target or strategically get that messaging out. I shouldn't say target, but strategically get that message out to maybe stay-home moms, work through networking groups, parenting groups, just to gauge interest. And we would also look at where existing facilities are in the community and where there might actually be, a significant maybe area of community that might be lacking childcare, and then really work to see if there are potential folks in that neighborhood that might consider this. We would also work really closely with the Douglas County Health Department, because they are the licensing entity that serves the county. And so we would work in partnership with them on any recruitment effort that we would do. Our goal was to recruit 10. If we had 12 that were super interested, we would absolutely make that happen.
Okay, great. All right, those were only questions I had. Any other questions from the committee members?
Michelle, this is Patrick Kelly. I just want to make sure I'm clear. I didn't read the request as asking for the dollars for retrofitting, either that 200,000 or that 3.25 million. Did I read something incorrectly?
And you might be correct. I just see it on my screen as 200,000 being mentioned, and so I was just curious.
Reva, you want to clarify that it was 200,000 for retrofitting, and then the 200 and change for the recruitment efforts, and then the separate piece for the scholarships.
Right.
So there are three requests, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Does that help, Patrick?
Yeah, I think so.
Kate Lorenz, that's a good question. I think in the request, I didn't see specifically the 200,000 requested. So I thought it was administrative support and things for the recruitment program and the scholarship program. So thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, so I'm saying, okay, now maybe I'm more confused. I see the proposal for business supports for community-based infant, toddler, childcare at 202.
Right.
Then I also see scholarships at 540 and administrative support at 43. Is there, maybe I'm missing a page or something? I just want to make sure I'm knowing what I'm voting on if I vote.
So Britt may need to provide a little clarity, because the first spreadsheet that came out had the retrofitting description, but it wasn't listed in the budget total. So, and it is a little confusing because we don't have a building yet that wouldn't be granted to Child Care Aware or to Positive Bright Start. It would just be funding that would be set aside and available if the Kennedy School was available, or if a different site was identified, that we could come back and ask for those dollars. Is that right, Hugh?
Yes, that makes the most sense. And I think it was just omitted from that particular spreadsheet, but it should be in our the proposal we provided anyway.
I found it on the spreadsheet, but I wasn't seeing it it didn't stand out in the request to me. So I'm glad we cleared that up. I see it now in the spreadsheet.
And if I could, I'd just note real quickly too, that the funds, scholarships and otherwise, keep in mind the numbers we're talking about of infants here. There's a much, much greater need out there. And so we're in the process of other, a chamber capital campaign. We'll be going to the county. We're looking to the business community grants, state and federal. There's a lot more asks coming and a lot more resources needed. But we're hopeful that you're almost as a lead entry into this that we can point to help us as we raise additional funds.
This is Christina Gentry. Speaking of additional funds, I'm listening to Anna Jenny say that 105 families individually were helped during the funding of the CARES Act to this, not to this project itself, but to assist with other families during the pandemic. Is that correct, Anna Jenny?
Yes, there was 101 scholarships granted last fall.
Perfect. And so my question, this is Christina Gentry again, my question would be, is there an anticipation that the CARES Act Part 2 or the Freedom Fundings Act, I forget the name, I'm sorry, I apologize. But do you anticipate maybe also receiving some scholarship funding from the Freedom Funds or the CDGB funding? So is there an opportunity that you are pursuing with those funds to also help alleviate some of the scholarship and the funding and the other sources of income that you're requesting?
The relief program that was passed did include quite a bit of funding for childcare. My understanding is that it's going to the state level initially. What they decide to do with it will stand ready to respond. So the state will decide whether to give it all to DCF subsidies or something else. And if there does come some available for us to apply for a grant, we will certainly do so.
All right. Any other questions from the committee members? All right. So if we look at it, we do have 3 requests here. So does anyone want to entertain a motion for the first one, which is the request for $202,200 for the investment in childcare availability?
This is Patrick Kelly. I'll go ahead and move to recommend that request.
All right. And do we have a second?
This is Adam. I'll second.
All right. We do have a motion by Patrick Kelly to approve the request of $202,200 for the investment in child care availability, and Adam Ritchie has seconded it. I will go ahead and do a roll call vote, and John has recused himself on this vote. So Christina?
I would say aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So with a vote of 6 in favor, 0 against, and 1 recusal, that motion is carried. All right. The second request is for $200,000 for renovations to either Kennedy or an existing building to retrofit it. Do we have any motion on that? Any motion from the committee members?
Christina Gentry, I would move to make a motion. It is a little bit confusing knowing that the Kennedy building is still a little bit in limbo of if it's going to be accessible, but I do understand it and understand the importance of having a building like this and then also renovating. So I would go ahead, that's my long short, to say yes, I will support moving this into a motion.
All right, thank you, Christina. And do we have a second on that? Anyone able to second that?
Kate Lorenz, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Kate. All right, so with the motion from Christina to approve the $200,000 for retrofitting an existing building and a second from Kate, we're going to do a roll call vote. Christina?
Aye.
Brad? Brad,
I'm just,
are you there?
can you hear me, Michelle?
Yep.
I would say nay. I'm just not sure that we know enough yet. I'm certainly supportive of the first item that we passed, but I just don't think we know enough to support some facility development. Certainly would be happy to entertain it at a later date, but that's my thought.
All righty. Kate?
Aye.
John is recusing himself. Adam?
I really want to say yes, but I don't feel like we know enough details about any potential site just yet to say aye. So I have to say no.
All right. Patrick?
I'm going to abstain from this one.
All right. And I will vote in favor of that. And so we have 3 votes in favor, 2 votes no, and 1 recusal, 1 abstention. So the motion does carry.
Michelle, I'd like to clarify mine. Because one of my employers is USD 497, I just don't feel like I can vote on that one.
And I understand that. Yes.
I didn't know whether recusal or abstention was the way we wanted to go. So
it's of record, so I appreciate that. All right, and the third item is a request for $583,200 for investment in childcare affordability, scholarships, basically. So do we have a motion on this item?
I'm happy, this is Patrick Kelly. I'm happy to make that motion to recommend that request.
All right, and do we have a second on that?
Michelle, I'd second that. This is Brad.
Okay. All right, so with the motion from Patrick Kelly and a second from Brad Burnside, we are going to take a roll call vote on approving $583,200 for basically scholarships, childcare affordability. So Christina?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John is abstaining or recusing. Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So we have 6 in favor and 1 recusal. That motion carries. So thank you very much, Anna and Reva, for answering our questions on that. All right, our next item on the agenda is for the BTBC. I'm not sure who is presenting on this, but I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, I'm Adam Courtney and BTBC, also presenting with Robert Knapp. And we're going to just start with a video, kind of highlights BTBC, where we've come from, where we're going, talk about how we're aligned with the city's strategic plan and economic development strategic plan, and then talk through our requests. So if you'll indulge us, we'll start with this video here. And let me know if you can't see or hear once we get started.
This is Christina Gentry. I'm not hearing the video sound.
Did you say you're not hearing it?
No.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either.
Yeah,
Me neither.
Playing through.
Robert, I don't know if you want to try it real quick.
I can try.
Sorry about that.
You got to unshare.
I got it. I think I got it now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
More than a decade ago, Lawrence community leaders had a bold idea: to bring together business leaders, local government, and the University of Kansas to form a unique coalition devoted to economic development. A public-private partnership committed to building a more modern, robust, and resilient economy in Lawrence and Douglas County. Through the combined efforts and support of its 4 founding stakeholders, the City of Lawrence, the Lawrence Chamber, Douglas County, and the University of Kansas, the Bioscience and Technology Business Center was born. Its mission? To reshape the local economy and generate high-paying jobs by creating, recruiting, and growing innovative companies clustered around the strengths of the University of Kansas. Today, BTBC has grown from a small incubator on KU's West Campus into a region-wide ecosystem supporting innovation, entrepreneurship, and the commercialization of new technologies. A vibrant part of the regional economy, BTBC's nearly 60 high-tech and bioscience companies represent more than 375 high-wage jobs and $22 million in annual payroll. After 10 years of growth, the demand for BTBC's specialized facilities, services, and support is higher than ever. Thanks to the combined efforts of its founders, bolstered by a growing alliance of public and private organizations, including the Kansas University Endowment Association, the Kansas Department of Commerce, and the U.S. Economic Development Administration, BTBC will soon break ground on its first graduate expansion facility. Phase 3. Strategically located on KU's West Campus, Phase 3's nearly 70,000 square feet of specialized wet lab, offices, and shared spaces will soon be home to 250 new high-tech jobs at some of Kansas's most innovative and fast-growing bioscience and technology companies. More than just a building, Phase 3 is the next step towards a new era of sustainable economic growth and resilience in Kansas. The creation of the KU Innovation Park. A dense concentration of innovation and entrepreneurship supporting infrastructure, services, people, and amenities, the park will support a diverse mix of startups, private industry, government agencies, and KU research, bringing an additional 2,500 high-wage bioscience and tech jobs to Lawrence. With the creation of the KU Innovation Park, BTBC's bold founding vision comes into focus. An entire community working together to forge a strong, diverse, and resilient economy to improve the lives of all Kansans, now and for decades to come.
I'll just, in the interest of time, cut it short there. So that's just a little overview. You know, it mentioned that we're getting ready to break ground. We've already broken ground on West Campus. So if you've driven by, you've seen it. Just to highlight our metrics, it said 375 in there. We're at 58 companies and 417 jobs now with about almost 25 million in payroll. And so those are the metrics we kind of define ourselves by. In addition to that, you know, as we've been working with the city on their strategic plan and economic development strategic plan, one of the priorities is women and minority owned businesses. And so we've began tracking that metric. And you can see that, you know, when we did that research this spring, we saw that about 40% of our 58 companies have female or non-white founders or owners. So as you can, the chamber went through the metrics that the community averages. And so we're well beyond that, but not satisfied with that. And so we're going to focus more on that in the coming year. And then you can see here, this is our 10-year growth. We've had about a 28 compounded annual growth rate on our jobs over our history. So that's pretty good. And you can see that here. And then phase 3 is our building that's going in on West Campus. It's about 66,000 square feet. It'll hold about 7 to 12 companies with 200 to 250 jobs. Have an additional $12 to $15 million in payroll. We're currently about 62% pre-leased. We figure by the time we open, we'll be between 75 and probably 80% there. And so have a lot of momentum as we look at our next growth, which is the Innovation Park, which mentioned by the video, and Robert will cover now.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, and thanks to the committee. You saw in the video the Innovation Park and the long range vision of this over the next 15 years and a build out that is targeted through 2035. It's certainly a lofty goal, but you can see here some of the metrics and the impact, and obviously one of the ones we feel is most pertinent is the 2,000 to 2,200 jobs that we think this will be able to create over time. And so, phase 3 is the beginning of that. But as we continue forward, it becomes more than just this innovation hub. It becomes kind of a whole work, play, live, learn environment. And Adam, if you'll go to the next slide, when we talk about the Innovation Park, one of the key things is to try and build a more modern and diverse economy. And you can see here through the statistics, the current employment and median incomes around current, whether it's retail, food, educational, or healthcare. And you can see kind of a gap right down here in professional, tech, science, and management area. And this is the area that, phase 3 and that the Innovation Park really will help focus on in bringing more high wage paying jobs, which cyclically should help all of these other areas as well. If you go to the next slide. A lot of people always say, well, okay, where is this Innovation Park? And so up in the left-hand corner there, you see just a quick picture there, 23rd and Iowa. You can see the West Campus, the Innovation Park that we just went through up there in the upper left-hand corner. And then Endowment has plans to put in kind of the component around retail, housing, other amenities that will really help keep companies here in Lawrence, as well as give people that are working in that Innovation Park an area to live and to walk and be close to their employers and employment as they go forward. And with that, I think I turn it back over to you, Adam.
Sure. Thanks, Robert. And so areas that we're kind of aligned, we are aligned with the city's strategic plan are, diversify the economy, the target industries, raising the area median wage. Our job wages are about $60,000 per job. So if we can grow that, that'll help. And then minority and women-owned business. And then the economic development strategic plan, continue to do entrepreneurship, startups, tech-related companies, business retention and expansion. And so, and then finally connecting students, educators, and employers by leveraging the university assets. And that's kind of our main goal. We take that biggest economic asset that we have in the region, which is the university, and try to make those connections and keep those highly educated.
Adam, I think you froze. Adam.
Robert, are you there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you froze on the largest economic asset in the region.
Sorry about that. Gotta love technology.
So I'll just get to our ask. Our request is our standard $200,000 from the city, which supports our business services, our entrepreneurship, and then our creating, recruiting, and growing companies. This funding is matched annually by the Douglas County and the university. So it's got some matching funds to it. The second component is the BTBC City, County, and Senate Fund. This is about I think 7 years old at this point. Previously, it's been $25,000 from the city. We're requesting an additional $25,000 with the opening of phase 3. We think 2022 is going to provide us good opportunity and momentum to do some more recruitment and bring in more of these companies. And then also as a piece of that 50,000, we're going to use 25% of the incentive fund to target women and minority-owned businesses as well. And then the final piece is what we're calling the real estate development request. The past 2 years, the city's provided us a matching fund of $75,000, which was a total of $375,000 commitment that we leveraged to raise money from the county. And then we leveraged the city county money to raise money from the Kansas Department of Commerce. And we used that funding to go out and raise the EDA funds that we used to build the phase 3 project. And then in addition, we've expanded that into a phase 4 feasibility design and capital plan study. We think this is important as well as we look at opening a building in 2022 with 75 to 80% capacity. We need to continue to develop real estate capacity to meet the demand that the park's going to generate. And so starting on the phase 4 feasibility, we think is important to continuing the development of the innovation park. And then finally, we've requested a piece of funding to support our sustainability and smart technology initiatives. We've started to develop a solar initiative as well as some other green initiatives, and then working with a couple of our companies that make smart technologies to incorporate those into the current phase that we have, phase 3, and then the innovation park itself. And so those are the 3 funding requests that we have for 2022 from the city. And then we'll just open it up for questions at this point.
All right, committee members, questions for Robert or Adam?
Yes.
This is Christina Gentry. I'm talking over someone.
Go ahead, Christina. We'll get John.
You. Thank you, John. Thank you for your patience and thank you for your presentation. So my concern here is, and maybe this cannot be addressed here, but bringing in new jobs, bringing in tech jobs will definitely be something that will energize and invigorate our environment, our community, and it's something that we definitely want to make note of and promote. However, the companies and the businesses that are presently in Lawrence that are struggling due to COVID, and struggling even before COVID, I'm wondering about the impact of new job creations of the Innovation Park and what that will do as far as bringing in new companies, new jobs, what that will do to the market competitively for the existing mom and pop places that we really do cherish here in Lawrence. So maybe a little bit of talk or maybe a conversation to help me understand about what jobs are going to be brought in, what specifically, and this is probably something I should have gone through with the great information that's already shared. But just to understand how this will affect business as we've been doing and also been struggling to continue to do in Lawrence, how would this impact the businesses that are currently struggling to continue their business here in Lawrence?
Yeah, I think and Robert, I'm going to jump in here, but feel free to also chime in. I think the businesses that we're talking about creating aren't a competition to the current businesses that I think you're speaking about in the community. I think what these companies do is they have a high multiple for indirect jobs. So they create a lot of other indirect jobs in the community as well. So I think that's important. And then just creating wealth in the community through those jobs. I think we have a lot of people that leave town every day to go find employment in Kansas City or Topeka, but live here in the community. And so if they can stay here in the community and find a job here in the community, it just creates wealth in the community that gets spent here as well to support those local businesses. So I guess that's how I would answer it, Robert. I don't know.
I think that's what I would have said. I think the only additional comment I would have would be that obviously if these jobs and Christina, to your question, maybe more specifically, the types of jobs, it's really a broad spectrum, right? If it's from biosciences and laboratory and research and, that kind of stuff, it's high tech, whether it's radar sensing or those kind of jobs. And so there's a mixture there, but But I think Adam's point's right, is if we can bring companies and jobs to this area of a higher level, we're also bringing families and we're bringing kids, and those are people who will work and want to work in the community, maybe in other capacities, that I think will help raise all boats, if you will, for the community. So, I think I understand the concern, but I think there's benefit from kind of that raise all boat mentality as we bring more people into the region who are benefiting from some of these high wage jobs.
Right. Christina, did you have any more?
No, that was it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. John?
Yes, John Matthews, PERC member. My question is, as far as the initial request of 200,000, I see that the plan is to hire 2 to 3 student interns from KU. I couldn't see, maybe I'm missing it in that budget. What would be specifically the other funds be used for?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other funds are used for business services that we provide to companies. So we do generally not just the business analysts, but the staff, Robert and I, help companies by providing business planning support, financial modeling. Sometimes some of these small companies, they don't have a lot of tech experience. They're researchers. And so we provide some of that core business knowledge that they're lacking to help them set up their companies, grow their companies to become more mature companies. So that's generally what it is. And then it's also recruiting companies. And so bringing in companies, creating the companies out of KU and working with the university to spin out technologies. That's some of the other services within that core operating fund that we get.
Thank you.
John, any other questions?
No, none at this time.
And Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 200,000 is not an increase from previous year?
It is the same amount we've asked for the last, I think, 10 years. And we did we had a reduction last year. We took the 10% haircut in 2020. And so this would be bringing it back up to what it was before.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions from the committee?
I have a question. Kate Lorenz, PERC member. I'm excited to hear, again, as with the chamber, about some emphasis that y'all have on supporting women and people who've been minoritized. I'm wondering, in terms of the seat at the table and kind of who's making decisions, where do y'all think you are in terms of your staff, board, consultants, people you'd be looking to hire in terms of that diversity and different perspectives? And how are you considering that as you move forward with these ambitious projects?
Yeah, so maybe I'll just jump in, Adam, and you can jump in. I think we're still in a working phase. We're making progress. We just hired, with our 3 interns, ironically, 2 of those 3 would meet that diverse kind of qualification. But certainly, an interesting thing about our board is a set of officials that are appointed, and then they appoint kind of a Class B membership. And so, I think an advocacy within our own board structure as we think forward in future years to think about that from that standpoint. Adam, I don't know, you may have some other.
No, I think that's right. And, our stakeholders are the city and the county, the university and the chamber. And so, their initiatives are generally our initiatives. And so we're going to work with them. And like Robert said, our Class A membership is appointed by those organizations. And then they are focused on electing our Class B membership. So from a board standpoint, I think we have stakeholders that are focused on those things as well. And so hopefully we'll continue to develop our equity and inclusion policies and procedures.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Kate? All right. Any other questions from the committee members?
Yeah, this is Christina Gentry again. I'm monopolizing the conversation today, as you can tell. Just really a point. I wanted to bring something to surface level here that I'm hearing a repeating theme today from all 3 of our presenters who've done a great job addressing each and every question and answering to all that they could. I wanted to challenge, and this is just a raising of a point. I want to challenge us here, not just us here in this space right now, but future and every endeavor that we look at and into to be more strategic with our inclusion and equity pieces, because what I'm hearing is we are planning to plan. We haven't quite solidified that yet. That is a work in progress, etc. I just would like to, just as we have strategically lined out the monetary funds and the asks and also where they're going and direct funds and make a direction in that, we also continue to make a direct fund towards equity and make sure that's priority. I feel that we're in a space to do that. And at this point, we shouldn't be planning to planning. We should already have a name and a base and a subject, and we should already be in those spaces. So I just want to challenge the group here to continue doing that work, like I think that you're doing and you're starting, but also just to make sure we're leading in equity when we are proposing plans for the equity of our future and our people. So yeah, just wanted to address that and raise that here in the space.
Thank you, Christina. I appreciate those comments. And you are not monopolizing. We all get to talk, so thank you. Any other comments, questions from the committee members? All right. If I understood it correctly, we have 3 requests from you. So where you've broken out the under the facility and real estate partnership and support, you've broken it down into kind of 3 different categories. You'd like us to vote for that altogether as 175,000. Is that correct?
I mean, that's how we put it in the application proposal.
Yeah, I saw that. So, okay, great. All right. Well, then I would like to entertain a motion for the first request, which is the operational funding of $200,000.
Michelle, this is John, PERC member. I'd like to make a motion on the first of 3 items for $200,000.
All right. Thank you, John. And do we have a second on that?
Hi, Michelle. Adam Ritchie. I will second.
Thank you, Adam. All right. So we have a motion by John and a second by Adam to approve the operational funding of $200,000. So I will go through the roll call. Christina?
Aye.
Brad is going to recuse himself. Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So we have 6 in favor, 0 no's, and 1 recusal for the operational funding of $200,000. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go to the second request, which is for $50,000 for incentive funding. And so do we have any motions for that?
Kate Lorenz, I'll move to approve that incentive funding.
All right, so Kate has made a motion, and do we have a second?
Michelle, John Matthews here. I'd like to second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Kate, a second by John to recommend approval for the incentive funding of $50,000. So we'll go through and do a roll call vote. Christina?
I'm just going to say nay, just because I just want a little bit more information to support this.
Right. Brad recuses. Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So with a vote of 5 in favor, 1 no, and 1 recusal, that motion does carry. And the last request from the BTBC is for facility support. It's a total of $175,000 that has been requested. And so do we have any motions on that? Any motions from the committee?
Hi, Michelle, Adam Ritchie. I move to approve the 175,000.
All right, so we have a motion from Adam. Do we have a second?
This is Patrick Kelly, second.
All right, with a motion from Adam, a second from Patrick, we do have a motion on the floor for 175,000 approval for the three items requested there, which is phase 3 commitment, phase 4 feasibility, and sustainability. So we'll do a roll call vote on that. Christina?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye also, and Brad recuses himself. So with a vote of 6 in favor, 0 no's, and 1 recusal, then that motion does carry also. So thank you very much,
Thanks,
Robert and Adam.
Thank you.
All right. And so we have one more request, and we have about 15 minutes left. I believe that Britt has the room there, City Hall. So we're going to move to Kevin Kelly with Peasley and their request. So Kevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this opportunity this afternoon. I'm going to make sure and get through my short presentation as quickly as possible, so we'll have time for all your good questions. Just a moment.
Awesome.
Right. Okay. For a little background, that some of you may not be that familiar with Peasley Tech. We're located at 29th and Haskell, in actually what was once the King Radio building. And there it is, if you want to get a visual on it. Our mission is directly related to economic development. I mean, we're to be a catalyst. We're to provide support for individuals and businesses in this community to help people improve their life through training and better jobs, livable wage jobs, and to help support our companies by providing training for their employees. The school was opened in 2015, originally as a home for community colleges to hold classes. In 2017, however, Peasley Tech became a Kansas Board of Regents approved post-secondary institution, and we started adding programs. This was our first round, approved in 2017. We've continued to build and add programs each year in a variety of skilled trade area. You can see in 19, things really were kicking up with a lot of apprenticeships and new programs. And even during the pandemic, we were able to get some new programs started to help people, again, get livable wage jobs. We are currently the largest provider of apprenticeship programs in Kansas. The beauty of apprenticeships, if you're not familiar with them, is that people are full-time employees, benefited employees of companies while they're learning their skill. A little look inside the building. Our building trades lab was funded by 2 local foundations, the Rice and Chris Foundations. You can see that it's just what it looks like. Building is actually changing considerably. We've just added some new woodworking programs in here and other things, so it's quite a busy shop now. This is just a view of one of the classrooms that was also funded with the Chris and Rice Foundation grants. We have a large industrial maintenance program. If you're not familiar with that, those folks keep the manufacturing plants running. Currently, we have more than 40 students enrolled in programs for Hallmark and Berry Global and are preparing to go to work in those places, along with many other companies. This is some of the students in this particular class is automation and robotics related. We have a machining laboratory, which is part of many of the programs we do here. You can see some folks here working on lathes and mill machines in the back. We also are fortunate to have the Del Willie and Lawrence New Car Dealers training lab, which was funded by 6 new car dealers here in Lawrence. It's a beautiful lab. It's as good as one as you'll find anywhere. And right now, I think there's about 70 students enrolled in programs in the automotive technology related. And we also, related to this, we do a program at Eudora High School for auto body repair. Our welding laboratory opened a couple of years ago. It's a great facility. It's a hop in place. There's high school students during the day and adults at night. And then we even give a little support to the artists. We have a program for welding for the hobbyists and artists. Networking and computing labs we operate here also high demand jobs. That's not really one of our students. That was just a photo somebody put in there. As far as our requests for funding this year from the city, having participated in the economic development strategic planning process for the city, it was very important for us to make sure that what we do, we were tying to that. And there's 2 ways that we're tying to it. One of the components recommended by Ernst & Young and taken into the plan by the city is the development of an entrepreneur development center or hub, if you will, for certain types of, obviously we have other organizations doing entrepreneur development, but this was to provide facilities where we could help people that needed technical skills and subject matter experts to help them build things, make things. So what we are proposing is funding for the Entrepreneur Crunch and Commercial Makerspace. The Entrepreneur Crunch refers to the constant crunch that one is in when they're trying to start a new business. So our idea is to help support those operations with both facilities, equipment, and subject matter experts, along with assistance through our partnerships as part of this entrepreneur ecosystem that is being developed under the Economic Development Strategic Plan. It will be 8,500 foot facility, have office spaces for people starting up businesses that need space to work, a media room to help prepare their their advertisements, their videos, other things related to getting their business off the ground, a 3D printing lab, which is really critical when you're trying to prototype new products, and access to subject matter experts, of which we have many here in a variety of areas. From I mentioned the automotive and welding and machining and in computers and robotics. So we have a number of folks that can help support people trying to start up their business. Here's the proposed budget for this. The city, we're requesting $129,713, a nice round number. And you can see here what we're asking for is really for operation of the square footage operation. That's based on our known cost for utilities and maintenance on a space. And the Peasley Tech will be contributing near matching funds in the way of support for the entrepreneurs in building out these facilities and doing that through a renovation fund and creating what we think will be one more and one important piece of the entrepreneur ecosystem that we need if we really want to attract and retain people starting up businesses. So that's the first part of our ask. The second part relates to our race, income, and equity and security, our RISE program. A little bit about the RISE program. We are now, this will be our third iteration of this. I think we've had, we really surpassed our goals in terms of serving underserved populations in this community. There's two important numbers that I can tell you about the RISE program, and they are 45 and 66. 45% of our participants in this program identify as members of BIPOC communities. 66% of the participants in this program are from low-income households. So the effect on the economy is jobs and preparing people into livable wage jobs. This request that we're making is for $200,000 for the RISE fund. Based on our average tuition, that'll train about 80 people into livable wage jobs with an average annual income based on that of over $3 million. So this is a investment with an immediate impact, because most of these folks will be done within a year and in jobs. We also have had the good support of this program through the county under the CARES Act in the past, and more recently through the Chamber of Commerce, who have provided $50,000, which is being used exclusively for BIPOC community members in highly underrepresented fields of HVAC and plumbing, both good paying jobs, and we're providing full scholarships to those programs for 20 folks. Well, I think I did it in time. I hope I have left enough time for questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Committee members, any questions for Kevin?
Michelle, I had one question. This is John, PERC member.
Yep.
Did you say the $2,500 would cover the full cost, or is that just a portion of the sponsored program?
That's the full cost of the average full cost of a program at Peaslee Tech. And that is in part because we're a not-for-profit organization. So basically we cover our cost of instruction and facility. If you looked at these kind of programs like electrician training and plumber, they're typically much more expensive than they are at Peaslee Tech. And one other part of that, because of the way that these programs are structured, and because of our policy that no student leaves here with debt, we have been able to, through lots of kind donations and working with students, to make sure that that promise has held true for 4 years now. No student has left this school with debt.
You mentioned plumbing and HVAC. What is the duration of these programs?
9 months. One night a week, though. So we get them working in the field while they're here. We get them hired on with contractors in HVAC or plumbing, so that they're actually employed making a living while they're going to school.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions from committee members? All right, if no questions, then we have two funding requests here. Does anyone want to make a motion on the first one, which is for the $129,713?
Michelle, this is John. I'd like to make a motion for the first one of $129,713.
All right, and a second on that?
Michelle, it's Brad. I'd second that.
All right, so we have a motion by John, second by Brad, to recommend approval for the 129,713. So I'll go through and do a vote. Christina?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes, please. Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So that motion has been approved by a vote of 7 yes, 0 no's. All right, the second request is for $200,000 for RISE program. Do we have a motion on that?
This is Christina Gentry. I will propose a motion to accept that.
All right, so Christina has made a motion. And who made a second? Kate?
Kate did.
Okay, thank you. Talked over you, sorry. So Christina has made a motion and Kate has seconded to recommend approval for the $200,000 for the RISE program for tuition assistance. So Christina, you want to take a vote?
Sure. Yes, aye.
Okay. Brad?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Nay.
Adam?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I am an aye. So we have 6 in favor, 1 nay. And so based off that vote, that motion does carry. So thank you, Kevin, for your time today.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. So Britt, do we have any members of the public?
No, there are no members of the public in the room.
All right. And so is there any other items that we need to discuss? Okay, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
This is Adam. So moved.
Second?
This is John.
Brad.
I'd like to second. Oh,
Good.
sorry.
Go ahead, John.
All right. So we are adjourned based off that motion.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for all your time today and have a great evening.